Hello and welcome to this short tutorial on how to use some of the elements within Camera Raw. As you probably know, Camera Raw comes with Photoshop CC. If you've not got it, you can install it by just going through to your Creative Cloud panel that comes part of your subscription, and you'll find in your, if I drop down here, you'll find it within there you go, Adobe Creative Cloud. You can actually download the actual Camera Raw feature if it's not already installed. This allows you to adjust raw files prior to actually editing them in the Photoshop editor itself. What I want to do today is just take an image like this and show you how easily and quickly you can make adjustments using the color mixer option to enhance certain colors, to bring out certain features, and use also the basic editor, which is this one here, basic. You'll see how little adjustments in this can actually make quite a lot of difference to your image. These little tabs, for want of a better word, you can just expand as you need them. There's a whole range of different options as you go down. So we're going to look today using the basic one, and we're going to use the color mixer. If I select that there, you'll see what comes up with the color mixer. They all sit within this option up here, which is the edit option, but below that there's a variety of different options you can go through. Each one will bring up certain new submenus that you can use. So let's concentrate for now just on this color mixer, but before we do, I want to show you this. Up at the top in the edit option, we have got the option to go or turn the image into a monochrome black and white version, and if I press that, you'll see that's gone to black and white, and when I come down you will see that our color mixer is now a black and white mixer. Okay, and you'll think possibly, well, how can you have a black and white mixer? It's quite simple really. As you'll see from this, there's some changes. These are ones that I placed in, I put in earlier. If we go back to the default values on this, so I'm just going to take everything back to 0. That's the actual image as it came in as a raw image, and it's quite bland. The sky is nothing very dramatic. It's quite dark along the foreground. It's okay, but nothing special. Yeah. So what we can do, we can use the colours that we know sit behind that, and actually intensify those colours, or take out, if you like, the luminance from those colours, even though they're in black and white. So if I turn the blue of the sky up, you'll see it will get brighter, and if I take it down, you will see it gets darker, and we can bring in a lot more drama by adding that extra element to it. And the foreground, which was made up of greens and yellows, in actual fact it's predominantly yellow. If I take the greens and alter it, you can just see subtle changes, mainly around the house, underneath the house. Yeah. But if I take the yellows and just bring them up, can you see how that increases the luminance within that area? So we can start to play around quite quickly with a black and white image, just in terms of intensifying or decreasing the luminance for the specific colours within the actual image. But we're not going to do that, so I'm going to take the black and white version off and I'm going to come back down to the colour mixer. Now I've just played around with that, so you will find that if we go through this, we might have oh no, we're okay, we've kept the original settings. Okay, so what I want to do with this is just make it a bit more, I don't know, punchy, make it sharper and cleaner and looks something a bit more edgy, shall we say, um, rather than this sort of like average run-of-the-mill image. So how does this work? We've got hue, we've got saturation, and we've got luminance. All simply brings all of them up on the screen at the same time. We're not going to do that, just to make it clearer which ones we're working on. Okay, so let's start by looking at how this section works. The hue allows you, if you think of this as like a continuum, with 0 being the colour that you're actually in at this stage, we can move that continuum more towards, if we take the greens, more towards the yellows and more towards, I suppose going more towards the blue in that respect. You can just make it out. If I take the more obvious colours like the blue, the colour has to be there for it to actually be able to be adjusted, but the blue, for instance, in the sky, I can adjust should I want to. I'm not going to alter the hues in this instance, but it shows you that you can adjust individual colours. You can also change the saturation of colours. So again, let's look at the blue. We could push that really high, or we could take it out completely. And again, you can do that for individual colours. The one I want to work on initially is the luminance, or the brightness of a colour, and I want to add a little bit of depth and drama to this sky in the colour image, similar to what I did within the black and white one. So I'm going to bring that back just to sort of make it look a bit more like it probably did on the day, you know, that intense blue and some nice clouds sat within it. I also feel that we could increase the saturation a little bit just to make it pop. There you go. That's quite nice. Yeah. Plus this foreground, we need something in there. I think it's got to actually be a little bit more interesting. So let's just lighten it up a bit. So just bringing the yellow slider, in this case I've taken it all the way to the top, and maybe a bit around the greens as well. Okay, so that's looking reasonable. Now, within each tab, you've got a little icon. It looks like an eye to me, and it will show you what you've done within that area of workspace. So this one's specifically for the color mixer, and if I click on it, you'll see that was how we started within the color mixer. That's what we've changed it to. So quite a bit of a change really, in just a few simple strokes of moving sliders along. So let's just close that for a second, and I want to go back up to the basic tab. So the basic tab allows you to change all the general settings, the basic settings that you would have on your image, your exposure, contrast, highlights and so forth. And I want to just give this a little bit more of an edge. The sky now, because I messed around with it, the clouds are a little bit sort of like burnt out in places. I want to bring back a bit more of the depth to them. So I can take the highlights, and if you watch the clouds, I can bring that back. So there's just more there's more elements in terms of tonal range within the actual cloud itself. But that's sort of like dropped everything down a little bit. So I'm going to punch up the exposure just a fraction to compensate, and that now will have also pushed the blacks up. So it's a bit like a seesaw. I want to push the blacks back down again and just bring the shadows up. You'll see this affects the foreground more than anything. Right, so we'll just nudge the shadows up. So we've changed quite a bit. Again, let's just within the basic tab just switch those on and off, and you see the difference there. Yeah, just gives it that start that again. Just gives it that little bit more of an edge. If we go down to this icon down at the bottom, we can actually toggle between the original version that we started with and the the version we've now adjusted. So this is the original version. This is the version we've adjusted. You may or may not like it, but I wanted to give you an indication of how easy it is to actually change things should you want to, and just give it a little bit more impact. Yeah. So there you are. That's the basic use, the simple use of the color mixer within an image. What you would do now is, if you were happy with that, you could either save it by pressing done, and that would just simply save the settings ready for the next time you came to it, or you can press open, and open will take you into Photoshop itself for you to start working on it. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I'll come along with another one of these little tutorials very soon. Thank you. Bye.